But it's a pleasure to see you guys on the call. And if you don't mind unmuting your mic and introducing yourself, and maybe our team members can also introduce themselves. But I'll introduce myself first. You also get to know a lot about me during the course of this webinar. But my name is Wasa Inoni. I am the founder or one of the founders of Big Sur Academy and currently acting as the Chief Marketing Officer as well. So, Shigun, I don't mind if you mind introducing yourself as well, please. And then we can just go around the room while we wait for others to join.
Hi everyone. My name is Oluwadesin, and I'm the CRM manager at Big Sur. So it's good to be here. I hope we have a great time. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. Roya Rusbahani here. I'm one of the Associate Deans of Film School of Business. Happy to be here and look forward to our conversation today.
Hi everyone, I'm Blessing, a team member at Big Soul. Happy to have you all here. Hope we have a great conversation at this webinar. Thank you. All right, so it's time already. So I think we'll just start so we don't get to waste other people's time for people that came early. Like I mentioned earlier, my name is Blessing. My name is Blessing Odoituk. I'm a team member at Big Soul, and for today, I'm going to be your moderator of this webinar. The topic for this webinar is creating an inclusive workspace, practical strategy to success. I mean, as an employer, as an employee, we found ourselves in workspaces that were not totally favorable because of either their practices or one thing or another. This is why we set up this webinar to talk about these issues and how to deal with them individually and differently. This webinar is going to take an hour, and we're going to try to keep it as snappy and as interesting as possible. Our speaker for this webinar, which she already gave a brief introduction about herself, is Wasa Inoni. Wasa Inoni is an esteemed program manager and entrepreneur and an advocate for
Blessing,
inclusivity.
sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, I know that we're on time, but please let's just give a few minutes so that everybody else can join. So if everybody else doesn't mind, we can have about 5 minutes and just wait for everybody else to join before we start. So we just give some people some grace time to be able to join the webinar as well.
All right, so I guess we start at exactly 3:05.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone, welcome. We're just waiting to have quite a number of people before we can finally start.
She expected but it flew away from her reach. So she ran away in a sleep.
All right, so we're starting now. I think we have quite a number of people. Okay, so just to recap, welcome everyone who had a brief introduction of ourselves and a few members of the team. And so for this webinar, we're going to be talking about creating an inclusive workspace, practical strategy to success. Our speaker for this webinar is Wasa Inoni. Wasa Inoni is an esteemed program manager and entrepreneur. She's an advocate for inclusivity. She brings her rich professional experience to the forefront in her work to foster diverse and inclusive workspaces. Wasa, with her deep expertise in agile methodology and IT system infrastructure, has effectively employed inclusive practices within a venture she's very passionate about and works in the capacity of founder and the chief marketing officer of Big Soul Limited, driving its growth while promoting diversity and inclusion. She's recognized by the Birmingham Times Black Women in Infrastructure list. Inoni's commitment to diversity has been transformative in all areas. As a speaker in this webinar, she will leverage her insights from working with small and medium-sized enterprises to share practical strategies for establishing an inclusive workspace, addressing key areas like leadership roles, diversity audits, policy development, and employee engagement. Her hands-on experiences, coupled with her academic background in civil engineering, and costs and project management from top UK universities. Promising and enlightening session. She will share insightful strategies for creating inclusive workspaces in this webinar. While I allow other people in, I'm just going to pass the mic to Wasa, so she starts almost immediately. Wasa, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Blessing, for that experientiated introduction. I'm not usually introduced like that, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be able to host this webinar today. I've not hosted a webinar in quite some time, so it's very honoring for me to be able to help host this webinar once again today. Today we're talking about creating an inclusive workspace. And I think when I was putting together today's webinar, I had a lot of thoughts on what does it represent in our own organization, and what do I really want to be able to share with the people or entrepreneurs that are able to join this webinar today. So what are we actually going to talk about today? We're going to talk about diversity, the benefits of a workplace diversity, the difference between diversity and inclusion in virtual spaces, and how diversity and inclusion can drive company growth. So a little bit about me, because I wanted to really express how we also work as an organization. We're very transparent and we like to get to know one another, get to understand our background and what we're all about and what we like to do outside of work. So I'm going to start by introducing myself. And I'll introduce myself informally first. I am a 30-year-old who's an entrepreneur at heart and has fallen in love or it has fallen in many diversity biases across my career life. And as a woman, especially because of the different barriers or biases that I could be categorized in, at my workplace, I've always had to be able to stand out strong or to always have to prove my capabilities. I've always had to feel like I have to do better than my male counterparts. But I think that as I've gone across my career path, I've gotten to a point where I've been able to understand that, especially when I come back home at night, I need to be able to shed off those layers and relax and get to a space where I can get to really know my potential to be able to be the best of myself, regardless of what anyone else thinks of me. So obviously, I'm a female. My astronomical sign is Cancer. I love to travel. I'm a foodie with a choice, so I do love food, but then it has to be good. I have a special connection to water, and I enjoy lifestyle and skincare. So here are a few pictures of me. Most of them I'm on vacation. The first one is in Paris. I was on a dinner date with my mom, much needed dinner date with my mom. The second one is a video. This was in Mexico, and we had a girls trip. One of my best friends and I, who is actually my sister. If you're from Africa, you can understand that there are some friends that you bond with so much, or you've been with so long for the majority of your life, that they're more like your sisters than your friends. And then the last picture on here was the same trip, But I think that this was a pivotal point in my life. So that's one of the reasons why I added this picture here, because I think I had gotten to a point in my career where once again I realized that I needed to make a change and I needed to turn or pivot in my um, growth channel. So, as I mentioned earlier, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 15 years old. I have two pictures from two of the four different businesses that I've had along my um, lifespan so far. Unfortunately, I couldn't find some of the other pictures, but maybe if we connect better, I will be able to share some of those with you guys. But this one on the left hand side, this was in my university days. This was me doing my master's in Coventry University, and I was selling hair, human hair to students on campus. And this was one of our events that we hosted in the student campus. And then on the right hand side is um, actually a webinar that we were doing for Bixel Tribe, which is a continuation of Bixel Cosmetics. That one of my partners that is actually on the call today, Pamela Fusi, we had founded Bixel Cosmetics, which eventually has led us to our career path that we're at right now. So before we continue with the webinar, this webinar is intended to be extremely interactive, um, for us to get to know each other, for us to um, work together as entrepreneurs or support each other. At Big So, we're very huge on partnerships and supporting one another and providing the support and exposure that we can for small and medium-sized enterprises. So we have a poll that we're going to share um, on the chat. So if you can please turn towards your computer screens or device screens, whatever you're using today. And you should get your first poll. So if you don't mind just adding on to there, and we can see how each of us is feeling today. Oh, by the way, I just want to say hi to all those that are on live. I know that we are on Teams, but then I know we're also broadcasting on LinkedIn Live and on YouTube. Have we been able to get the poll? Are we able to answer them? How do you find the questions? And please feel free to unmute your mic and talk to me back. I feel like I'm speaking to a screen right now. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Marie Cecile.
Fortunately, it won't let me do the poll.
Oh no.
It says you must be logged in to access it. I think I just signed in as a guest.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Can someone please share the link? You can also participate. I think we have a link that we can share. Okay, Roya. Thank you, Susan. Okay, let's see. Do we have any responses? Are we all unable to access the poll?
I can access the
So
poll from my
far,
end.
okay. Just so we're not taking too long. Maybe we'll come back to the poll. But in the meantime, let's go dive a little deeper on why I'm speaking on this topic today. So, as I experienced earlier, I have experience as an entrepreneur, but then currently we have 4 businesses that we're running, which as a company in a whole, we are focused on solving one problem. And each one of our businesses is targeted at solving this particular problem, which is understanding the problems that are faced in Africa and solving them by educating and building highly secured, organized digital data centers through data analysis and understanding the digital economy. So through Bixo Academy, which is what we're using to host this webinar today, we are focused on eradicating unemployment by providing access to digital and technical skills. At Bixo Digital, we focus on digital infrastructure and footprint. At Bixo Shops and Gift Cards, We build products that perform research and discovery and facilitate transactions within African digital economies. At Bixo Tribe, we build a tribe that supports women in becoming the best version of themselves. But as a person and my office at Bixo, I am a chief marketing officer. I've been able to achieve this by courses that in sales and marketing through Coursera certifications. By education, I have a bachelor's in civil engineering from Bolton and a project and cost management master's in science from Coventry University. And throughout my career, I've taken a variety of SAFE certifications. SAFE is an agile methodology, and there are a list of them down here that you can see. But of my career, the two top companies that I've been able to work at in both the construction and IT field, I've worked at Skanska as an Agile Project Manager and Scrum Master, and I currently work for Cognizant as a Program Manager. So diving a little deeper into today's topic, I thought we would start with a video so we can really understand what is diversity and inclusion and why is it such a big topic in today's world. So I hope you enjoy the video. Did anyone notice anything? What did we think about the video? Hi, Vigilant. What did we think about the video? Okay. What about Elijah? What did we think about the video? Okay, what about you, Daniel? What did you think of? Oh, someone's about to speak. Sorry, was someone going to say something? Something?
It's so easy to place people. 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 There's us. There's us. And there's us. And there's us. And those we feel comfortable. Those we feel comfortable. Those we feel comfortable. Those we feel sweet. Those we feel sweet. Those we feel sweet. Those we feel sweet. There are those of us that are challenged of us. That are challenged of us. That are those just starting. Those just starting. Those just starting. Those. Where's the well-to-do? Where's the well-to-do? Those doing good. Those doing good. Those doing good. Those doing good. Or those we share something. Or those we share something. Or those we share something. Those are those leadership. 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 Those are those
We sincerely apologize for that. I think Wasa is having technical issues with her device. While she tries to fix that, hopefully, we're back up. Thank you.
Well, I'm so sorry about that. Unfortunately, I hope I can't, that doesn't happen all the time because I hope we can fix that issue. But I'll explain this first video. So in this video, basically all it's trying to say is that we all have different boxes in which we are in. And even in those different boxes, we don't necessarily fit in. We all have different walks in life. We have different experiences. Um, God created us, or the universe created us differently. So it's important for us to be able to accept one another and enjoy understanding the fact that we're all people and we should all not be judged on how we look or um, how we look, how whatever disability we may have, um, etc., etc., or where we come from, or what political party we support, or if we're in love or if we're not in love, if we have a schedule or if we don't use a schedule, if we work out or if we don't work out. We should all be able to accept and understand that we're all people. So, what is diversity? Practicing workplace diversity starts with understanding the subject. So, for every organization, for every place that we may find ourselves, that may look different and that subject matter may be different. And the only way we can be able to understand what is happening in our own organization is by asking questions, is by trying to understand who are we? What are we as a people? What do we stand for? And where can we unite together to build what we're trying to build? So it's really unfortunate that a lot of the fun activities that are planned for this webinar are not necessarily working out. But before we go on into diving deeper into diversity and what it refers to or what it looks like in your workplace, I have another poll that I would like to share. I'm hoping that this time we are able to um, use the poll. So please let me know if you can see the poll and hopefully we can participate in the poll. Are we able to respond to the poll? I still see only one respond, but I'll move on because we don't want to waste time. Um, It means employing people from different walks in life, right? Um, Especially with the African society or industry that we work in, the typical stereotypes are either your religion, especially if you have any disabilities, whether your age gap, um, and how you look, how you appear physically. So diversity is more than just tribal or political. Diversity includes not just other ethnicities, but it also includes different ages, sexual orientation, social standing, and abilities. Diversity helps us retain talent. So, over my years of managing resources, so being a manager in my career capacity, um, here are a few questions that I've heard or have been discussed. Why are we getting too sick? We are getting too sick in the office. What can management do to help us get less sick? Or why do we not observe Jewish holidays? Why do we only observe Islamic or Christian holidays? Or why do men speak so politely to women at work? That one really took me aback. And that was in the construction industry. It's typical that in construction, um, it's very aggressive industry and very male-dominated industry. However, it really was interesting to see that women were asking why they were being treated politely, but then they felt like it was because of a bias. So it's very interesting how we look at different biases and how we are intentional about inclusion. Why is the organization choosing to be anti-woke? This is a very recent question that's been on the news recently with Chick-fil-A. So if you know of the brand or the fast food chain Chick-fil-A, they recently got um, protesters attacking their shops because of them not wanting to accept other religious beliefs. So, what do organizations do in those circumstances? Or at Target, where they recently had to take away all rainbow T-shirts because parents were protesting against Target for having rainbow T-shirts. So these are questions that go around and that we hear about, whether on the news or in our own workplace or in our own environment. And it's important for us to be able to get that feedback, understand what that person is trying to say, and find intentional ways to solve the problem. So, what does diversity do? It brings new perspectives. It brings fresh perspectives on helping to solve the problem. It brings fresh perspectives on decision making and definitely works on productivity because people enjoy what they do. And when people enjoy what they do, they're a lot more productive. So we've spoken a little bit about diversity and we've also spoken a little bit about inclusion. And these two go hand in hand, but they refer to completely different things. So let's look at what is the difference between diversity and inclusion. So diversity answers the question, what? What is it that your organization needs to be more diverse with? What do you need to be more diverse with in your workforce? So there are a few categories of this type of, or few categories of types of diversion, um, diversity, sorry. Um, we have cultural diversity. So maybe we're from different tribes or we have different family values or we're raised differently. We have race, we have religion, we have age, we have sex or gender or sexual orientation, and we have disability. So each one of these are different categories of which organizations are asked to be able to diversify their workforce in. So inclusion answers the question how. What initiatives are you taking as a workforce organization that is solving the what question? So here are a few examples of things that we can do, but there are so many little things, um, even in our day-to-day practices. That's where the little things matter more, because if we're being considerate of one another, if we're being considerate of our people, then we want to be able to treat them with love every single day. So a few of the things that organizations can do to be able to improve diversity and inclusion include researching the company's goals or providing information to all team members or employees on what are those company goals, reminding them of those company goals, having it seen throughout your organization's infrastructure. Share stories, have open access to one another, be able to have time to just get to know one another, share stories, have icebreakers, and be intentional about getting to know one another and the stories behind who they are, where they come from, what do they do when they're not at work. And also to encourage authenticity. So you want your people to be authentic. You want them to be able to feel free with you and tell you what is going on in the organization or and with them. So if you are able to be authentic, typically authenticity is reciprocated. And then create awareness. Let people know that you're intentional about diversifying and making sure that their feedback is heard and initiated or acted upon. So I'm not sure what happened here, but the words are turned upside down. It says many businesses focus solely on improving workforce diversity. So for this reason, 75% of them fail to see the benefits of diversity because of their lack of inclusive practices. So they're able to identify, oh yes, maybe we realize that we need to expand um, on our skill sets. So maybe we're focused on web development, for example, and we need to expand on our skill sets to understand more about marketing, as another example. So you need to expand, and in understanding and diversifying your thought process or your skill sets, you're able to create more. But then if you're not intentional about that inclusive or about solving that diversity, you find yourself either losing money or going a wrong direction. So how do we embrace inclusion in the virtual workspace? Most of us now work remotely, and it can be very difficult to be able to feel a sense of oneness or unity and ease and collaboration just through um, virtual channels. So here are a few benefits as well as initiatives that we can all take to be able to improve and embrace inclusion. So the first one is hearing out our employees' needs and accommodating them. And using the agile methodology, this is typically included in the day-to-day activities with ceremonies such as retrospectives and inspect and adapt. Next, we have providing mental health resources and support. So access to resources, there are many free resources out there that can help with providing free access to mental health, whether it's through podcasts, whether it's little books. There are a lot of free resources to be able to provide and give simple access to your employees. And then create a safe place, like we mentioned earlier, where there's open communication, where people get to feel free with sharing what is going on in their lives. And the benefit here is greater creativity. So when we have different and diverse backgrounds and skill sets, and we're from different cultures, we're able to provide fresh perspectives and discuss and grow together. Excuse me. Next, we have higher profits. So we're able to definitely gain more if our strategies are better, they're more innovative, they're more creative. We are able to gain more profits. And in turn, we hope those profits go back to the employees that are working hard to be able to provide additional benefits and profit. Also, language skill sets, especially in Africa where we have different languages, we all speak different mother tongues. It's important to be able to know more than just one language or the typical um, international language or business language, English. Better decision-making process. So we're able to make better decisions because we have different perspectives. We can be able to identify risks faster and target them a lot faster as well. So I have another video here. I'm hoping that we are able to watch this video. And let's really understand what are the benefits and how do we see those benefits manifest in the workplace. Okay, let's try that again.
If you can imagine yourself as trying to solve this, and get over it,
Okay, so unfortunately, we're not able to watch these videos, but I'll share the link of the video so that you're able to really explore and hear what other people have to say. They're more or less trying to say in the video is that when you're practicing diversity, employees are saying it increases talent retention, included. Diversity and inclusion increase productivity and satisfaction. Workforce inclusion starts with identifying, ensuring virtual workspace so it's important to hear what works. When we're trying to get that job, when we're trying to get that job, when we're dreaming,